Hey everyone, it's Peter Kerr from Rock Daydream Nation, and I've got back to the channel Mark O'Neill from Pulse 94.7 FM. How are you, mate?
Very well. How are you?
Good indeed. I have got you back to the channel to talk about one of your all-time favourite bands, and that's Deep Purple.
Yes.
Because on Rock Daydream Nation, we talk about the Deep Purple family tree. That is just an ongoing series. We've never on this channel spoken about this little beauty, Deep Purple and Fireball from 1971. So this album kind of gets a little bit ignored because it's in between two masterpieces. You've got In Rock in 1970 and you've got Machine Head in 1972. So Fireball kind of wedges in between and gets maybe unfairly overlooked. Wouldn't you agree, Mark?
Yeah, and the thing is, it's just not Fireball. In Rock, you have In Rock, and then Fireball is very different from In Rock, but then Machine Head, very different from Fireball. And then Who Do We Think We Are, different from Machine Head. I think Fireball is very experimental. The sound is better than In Rock. I mean, In Rock, Blackmore goes mad. He seems, with his playing. Fireball, he seems a little laid back. But that's good because every album is noticeably different. And it's not like some bands, they make 100 albums and they're all the same.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is definitely the Deep Purple experimental album. And a lot of the songs, there's kind of space between the notes. The band's allowing things to breathe. Instead of having a riff-tastic 3-minute song, stretch it out to 6. Put some effects, let the notes breathe out, try a few different things. Gillan, lyrically, tries some different things, maybe successfully, not so successfully. And I've got a bit of a take that I'd like to, shoot off onto you and just get your reaction on that. And then, a little bit of Pacey. I mean, Pacey to me is always the dark horse in this band and, probably one of the most, maybe the most valuable player. His playing on this album is absolutely phenomenal. He gets to shine on a couple of tracks. So I think this album went to number 1 in the UK. So I think In Rock was a bit of a sleeper and it was on the charts for a long time. And then Fireball, I think people were just so impressed with In Rock. They just bought it and it went to number 1 in the charts. But it may have surprised people because it didn't have that sort of those riffy, punchy songs. As I said, very experimental. So, all right. Well, why don't we talk as we normally do? We go track by track. Now, there are 2 different versions of this album, Mark.
Yes. Can I just say something first?
Sure.
Now, I mentioned this to you on air on my show, but here I have the stats about Fireball. And I was saying how Jesus Christ Superstar was responsible for Fireball's big jump in America. Purple's third album, the self-titled one, made 162 in America. This is on the Billboard charts. Concerto, 149. In Rock, 143. In May 71, Jesus Christ Superstar was released. July 71, Fireball released, made number 32. And the DJs who were never talking about Purple were saying, oh, that's Deep Purple's vocalist, Ian Gillan, on there. That got them so much, they might have ended up being nothing in America had it not been for Jesus Christ Superstar.
Well, I'll just let the cat out of the bag. I've got a little bit of a theory where there's a bit of a Jesus Christ Superstar influence on this album.
Yes, so do I, especially in a certain song.
I've got it. Well, I think it's in 2 songs. It's a hot take, and it's only taken me 50 odd years to come up with this. Isn't it funny? Sometimes you listen to these albums all your life, and then this light bulb comes up and go, yeah. So Stay tuned, folks. We'll get to it. Two different versions of this album. One version of the album had Demon's Eye, and another version of the album had Strange Kind of Woman. So you're going to get bang for your buck in this show. We're going to talk about both, but I think initially we'll talk about the UK version, and then when it comes to Demon's Eye, then we'll slide it across and talk about Strange Kind of Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Fireball, cracker of a song, isn't it, to start it off? What do you think of this song?
Oh, it's just a frantic yet short song, and they say a lot in a little time. And it was the precursor to speed metal, I think. And then a few years later, Blackmore took it further with the Light in Black, the speed metal thing.
Yeah, I mean, Pacey's drumming is sensational, isn't it? He's really the Buddy Rich of heavy metal. And I think I've always said that his work in the 70s, that was peak Pace. And, you know, he was right up there. The organ break is probably one of my favourite John Lord bits. It's so zippy, melodic, quirky, and it just hums along. I first heard this song on Deepest Purple, the very best of Deep Purple, which went to #1. And, that was one of the highlight tracks that popped out of the grooves to me that, I really like this band. But, Deep Purple, and I know it's a cliche because there's a lot of shows that say the same thing, but I'll say it again. Deep Purple do wonderful opening tracks. You could do a greatest hits and just pick the opening. Even their dud albums or albums that are not so good, they always stack the album, the first track, as being a cracker, and this one is an absolute cracker. Ian Gillan's voice is in fine form. And another thing, Roger Glover's bass playing. You know, he's very underrated. You like Glover's bass playing? He has these really wonderful little lines.
Yeah, and I noticed, I think it took me all the years to notice it. I think it was in Made in Japan. Also, he was playing like these full notes that would just fill everything. You know, not like, you know, Glenn Hughes is really funky and Jack Bruce, and there's different styles. But when he plays those full notes, it's magic with all the chaos around him, and he's hitting these beautiful notes. Love it.
Yeah. It does these wonderful runs. All right. The next one is No, No, No. So here's an example of a Deep Purple song that's allowed to breathe, and there's different dynamics, time signatures. Do you groove on this song?
Yes, and well, I'll start with the lyrics that you mentioned. Blackmore didn't like the lyrics that Gillan wrote for this album. That's where their problems may have started. I think if another person wrote a lot of those lyrics, I would say they were rubbish, but it's Ian. It's his whole personality came out, and that wasn't so much, in rock. I love them. They're funny. Some of them are funny. Some are a little bit too naughty for radio, as I'll get to that in a little while. And I love the lyrics, but again, I mean, they're not up there with Ken Hensley lyrics, but they're different and they're fun. And I could just picture Blackmore just, the thoughts going through his head probably as he was recording it.
I love what Blackmore does with the guitar. He's doing the harmonics, different effects. Yeah. And I like that this is a very textured song. And, it sort of makes the listener work for it. It's not one that you listen to straight away and go, it's not instant hard rock ear candy. You really got to listen, and it's a great headphone song.
Yeah.
But look, they're being experimental, and a full tick for them, stretching their wings and doing something more. I can't think of any band, and I treat this as the second album, in Mark II. This is the second album of Deep Purple, the classic lineup, being as experimental. I don't think Sabbath or Zeppelin or Uriah Heep with their second album was as experimental as this. This is really stretching it out.
Yeah.
Demon's Eye / Strange Kind of Woman, we'll talk about both. I think they're kind of, it's a like for a like. They're similar. They're in the same sort of wheelhouse. We'll talk about Demon's Eye first. One thing that is apparent to me, this swings. It's got so much groove. Do you like this song?
Not at first. No, I didn't hear it until Deepest Purple was released. I didn't know it existed. And it actually did quite well in America, the Deepest Purple. It didn't make the top 100, but it sold very well over the years. At the time, I was just thinking, must be a throwaway. Didn't pay any attention to it. Then in the 90s, when the 25th anniversary of Fireball came out, it was on there. Still didn't do much for me. Then when I moved to Australia at the end of 98, the first radio show I heard was the National Rock and Blues Show on the Community Radio Network with Ray Jennings, who became my Australian DJ hero or presenter hero. He played it regularly. And then it hit me. I go, this is a great song.
Why weren't you seduced the first time around? Did you think it was a little bit throwaway? Was there something that sort of that put up the barriers for this song?
Well, because I had every Purple American album and it wasn't on them, and Deepest Purple was supposed to be a compilation, and it didn't say unreleased or anything, and what's it from?
Yeah. So it kind of was like an unconscious bias. And that's like a lot of people have these biases. Like if it's not on an album and it's never been released as a single, well, it must be a throwaway, isn't it? That's quite funny. I've always loved this song, but the thing that I've appreciated later in my life to this song is the groove. And I just think Deep Purple have so much groove. You actually shake your butt. Out of all the bands, I'm talking about your Sabbaths, your Zeppelins, and Uriah Heep, Deep Purple are the ones that you shake your booty because you've got Pace, who's one of the most groove. He's in the pocket. He's got this fantastic groove. And Blackmore's playing around it. And sometimes he's behind the beat, sometimes he's ahead of the beat. But on this particular song, I can imagine that people, in the jukebox, putting their 20 cents in and having a bit of a shake to it, and that is quite an achievement for metal. So when you think about the groove, it's not inconceivable in Mark III that they were going down this path of funk and R&B, all the stuff that Blackmore was going, get me away from it. But you could see that there were already seeds being planted inherently in the bottom end. Yeah. But maybe Blackmore wasn't aware of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's because they had this wonderful drummer, Ian Pace, who I think is one of the greatest drummers alive.
He is.
Magnificent. I think he's 80 or close to 80.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And, drummers are the ones with the wear and tear. They're the ones that have the wear and tear in the band. The guitarists, they live on. Maybe the singers lose their vogue. But all the wear and tear and the physicality is with Ian Pace. But we can go on a whole different story about that. So Demon's Eye, you weren't convinced on that one. What about Strange Kind of Woman? That swings. I love that song too. What do you think of that song?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's sort of a shuffle-ish. I wouldn't call it an out-and-out shuffle. On Fireball, it's very good. On Made in Japan, wow. It just hit a new level.
Call and response, isn't it? You like that?
Yeah, but it should have been a hit. And again, I'm talking from the American standpoint. It should have been a hit.
And, they had this ability, like they had singles. Deep
Yeah.
Purple, Black Knight went to number 2. Strange Kind of Woman went top 20. Smoke on the Water went top 5.
Yeah.
For an album band, and you think a lot of hard rock metal bands album, they sure released some hit singles, didn't they?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the song where, live Blackmore and Gillan do the call and response, and even Gillan throws in a little bit of Jesus Christ Superstar, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. All right. This is the most controversial song probably in the Deep Purple catalogue. It's up there probably with Call of the Wild, One Man's Meat. It's always when they, the worst Deep Purple songs, they always drudge up this one. Is it maligned or misunderstood? Misunderstood? What do you think? Mistaken? Misunderstood? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe people compare it to other things, other songs that are generally get better reviews and talked about more. But yeah, I would say it is overlooked.
What do you think of this song?
Well, I've got my notes here, and I've got a lot to say about it. Do you want to go first here?
Okay, I'll give you my take on it.
Yep.
One word: Elvis. This is the sort of song that may have come out in those bad Elvis movies in the 60s, where it goes a little bit country. You know those movies that you used to watch on a Sunday afternoon? I know you're a huge Elvis fan, and out of the middle of nowhere, you might be serenading a girl or something like that, and he does that sort of delivery. I think this is Ian channeling a little bit of Elvis humorously through these lyrics. That's my take.
And would you have been happier if it wasn't on the album?
Yeah, I don't think it's strong. He feels free that he can be a bit more experimental and put stuff out there, because I think they were very giddy on the success in rock. I think they felt like they could do anything. And I think he snuck this under the Blackmore quality control. He put it under the gate, Mark, and it somehow got in. I don't know. Hit me. Tell me what you think.
Well, Blackmore's picking, he was a big fan of Albert Lee and James Burton. So he may have hated the song, he may have hated the lyrics, but he did admire people that played that sort of stuff. Now, it was a 45. I don't know if it was the B-side, but with Gillan, some of the things he says, there's no way it would have gotten airplay in America. So I don't know why it was released as a 45, unless it was the B-side. But now, when I talked to Ken Hensley years ago, I was going to ask him this, totally forgot. And then I was going to and we emailed a lot too, but he was supposed to come back on my show, but he passed away 2 months before. I say it's very possible Ken Hensley, who was a Deep Purple fan and a huge John Lord fan, had that song in the back of his mind when he wrote Stealin', which is a much better song, sort of the same topic, but a much better song.
Interesting. I'll throw another take. Here we go, because this is what this show's all about, just throwing takes, different things out there. Jesus Christ Superstar. There's a little bit of that in it. You know those musicals where you have somebody that comes in and does these little songs directly to the audience, and it's like a bridge? He could be like the narrator. I get that feel too, because I think Ian was very giddy. Ian was in a high in the early 70s, like not only in rock, Jesus Christ Superstar, at least in England, way up in the charts, sold a ton, made his reputation. I think he had that Tim Rice, let me be a bit of a social commentator. You know, satirical, humorous.
Yeah.
So I think not only it's channeling Elvis in that bad B movie sense, but it's got a little bit of that Jesus Christ Superstar, those bridge songs. What do you think?
Yeah, that very well could be. But I have another take on it. And I never thought about Elvis. Picture in your mind Bob Dylan singing it.
It'd be better because that would suit his.
Exactly.
I mean, lyrically, topically, it's way out of the Deep Purple wheelhouse.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it hits a lot of the worst on Deep Purple.
Yeah.
Because it's so different and people don't like things that are too out of the cookie cutter.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think I've heard that mentioned. I don't know. Maybe Gillen might have mentioned. I'm sure I've read something in the Purple family talk about this song and have mentioned Dylan, but I just don't know. I can't remember the actual context.
I'd love to hear Ian sing Gotta Serve Somebody.
Isn't it funny? We've done this show and we've spent most of the show we've been talking about this song.
Yeah.
Because it's the most controversial.
Yeah, it is.
All right. We flipped the album and then we've got the Mule. So I'll give you a heads up. I did a show with Martin Popoff and Reed Little and Peter Jones on my channel, and it was the best song, worst song, every Deep Purple album, Mark II.
Mm-hmm.
I did actually pick the Mule as the worst, not anybody's daughter. And I was listening to this and I sort of changed my mind. Maybe I was a little bit harsh. I get a little bit of a Hendrix vibe about this song with extended guitar, with an extended drum solo. It's very psych. I find like this is a song that was laid down in 70, came out in 71 or thereabouts. But to me, it sounds like it could have been recorded in 68, 69 by by Hendrix. What do you think?
Well, I have a different take on it, but well, actually, it's my favorite song on the album. I have a weird association when I hear something or watch something, even if it's for the first time. I'm only half thinking, is this good? Is this bad? But I'm thinking, what else could it have been? Like the first time I watched Rock Daydream Nation, and I said, this could be a radio show. The first time I heard it, I was thinking Hawkwind and Silver Machine. And so that came out roughly the same time. Now, I didn't hear the Mule until 76, again, because I hated Purple until then. And when I heard it, I was thinking, wow, could it be classified space rock? Or maybe if they put the air conditioner to more use or used a bit of Hawkwind effects. But that's what I thought right away. It's a space rock song. And then I thought, as Jackie Gleason, the term he always uses is Weisenheimer. Being a Weisenheimer, I was thinking, how dare Deep Purple, as a band, play over Ian Pace's solo? Because to me, it's a solo with the band playing along. But I love it. I could listen to it. If it took up the whole side of an album, I would have loved it even more, probably.
Yeah, that probably stretches the friendship a little too much for me. But one highlight for me is that guitar solo where it goes down, 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 down. It cuts through like a knife.
Yeah.
That's the highlight of the song. Again, experimental. They are just stretching it out. Fools. What's your take on this?
Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
Well, some of the lyrics,
Yep.
they're not full on Christian because they sort of almost go there, but not. So that very well could have been in the back of Ian's mind.
Yeah. What about musically? What do you think of this one?
I could say it's the most different song on the album, but every song is the most different because that's the kind of album it is.
He's really got the harmonics out, isn't he? He's really just playing, and the bit where it's like Pacey's got the tambourine or some sort of cymbal, and it's really rhythmic.
Yeah, they stretch it out, and it's well, rather than saying maybe it's got the most different vibe than any other song on the album.
Do you know when Richie does his kind of little noodling in between songs? He'll do like 5 or 10 different song themes in between songs, and the listener or the person in the audience goes, "Oh, what's coming up next? What's he doing?" He might a little bit of this, a little bit of that. To me, a lot of this song sounds like him noodling.
Yeah.
I don't know if it kind of loses its way. I don't know if it's really precise. This is the one where they're really letting the song breathe, and they're just taking their damn time. I don't know. It's not my favorite on the album.
No.
No One Came. This is another slightly unusual one. A little bit social commentary about about the audiences, about what was happening in their world. What do you think?
Well, again, Ian being Ian, the lyrics are, your music is really funky. But, I keep saying this, but if somebody else wrote those lyrics, I'd say this guy's going nowhere. But on that album, he got away with it. And then he, with Machine Head, he was back on the straight and narrow. But musically I like it, and the lyrics are well, he makes them comical. Even the way he says certain things, he could take a serious subject and make you laugh at it.
I think this is the song where he plants the seed for his rap vocals. Remember, I had an interview with John McCoy, and we were talking about Gillan, Future Shock, and No Laughing in Heaven. And you know how he does that rap?
Yeah.
I think this song is kind of got a little bit of that rap delivery, where he's actually half talking, half singing. Predominantly he's singing, but there is a little bit of spoken. And I think this is the seed for that type of song.
Yeah.
I see a lot of Jesus Christ Superstar in this one. Again, one of those songs where you'd have the narrator, winking at the audience and doing a little vocal delivery. I think it's really unusual. It's one of the more unusual Purple songs, and it's a finale. It's the final song. So you look at all the Purple songs that usually finish up the album, like Space Trucking, or they usually do something very pyrotechnic, something that has a bit of a crash bang wallop. This one's really unusual. It is really funky. It's got a lot of groove to it. Do you like the backwards piano? There's a little bit of, the keyboard, and it sounds like the tapes are reversed.
Yeah, well, I think just about anything would fit on that album. On Machine Head, I'd probably think, what's going on here? But it's just so all over the place. It fits it.
Blackmore doesn't like it. I think Gillan, for a long time, this was his favourite album. And that just sort of fits part of course between those two. But Machine Head, completely different, wasn't it? The very straight, black and white, brilliant album, but it's completely, they really get down to the rock and roll business. It's a very dry album comparative to this.
Yeah, it is.
Not as much experimentation.
But the sound of it, you almost feel like you're in the dingy hotel.
You
And
are. You are. You can,
if if it had the production of Stormbringer or Who Do We Think We Are, it wouldn't sound right. It was all just perfect.
So, Mr. O'Neill, where does this rank in your Deep Purple discography? Is it right up? And is it in the middle, or is it near the bottom?
I'd say it's right up there. I never did an actual ranking, which I should eventually. But only Pete Pardo is allowed to have barking dogs.
Oh, it's a fact of life at Rock Daydream Nation. We have all different pets in the background noise.
Well, I've got 2 dogs at home, so it's better for me to do this here at the Pulse.
I get it. I absolutely get it. Yeah, look, I'd probably put middle to high. It's experimental. I give it full kudos, but there are a couple of I know it's a cliche, filler songs that don't really cut it for me. But there are some real high highs on it, like Strange Kind of Woman, Demon's Eye, Fireball. They're classics.
What about of the Mark II albums?
Machine Head for me.
Mm.
That's the other, and In Rock, because it's so influential. And In Rock probably has my favorite Deep Purple song of all time, Speed King. To me, that crystallizes Deep Purple, just the pyrotechnics.
And I didn't hear the guitar beginning till maybe the 90s.
Yep.
Now, when Deepest Purple came out, they had just, I think, the keyboard beginning, that mellow keyboard thing. So that wasn't on the American In Rock either. So I said, ooh, something extra. So I was really happy with that. But then when I finally heard the Blackmore start, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Mark, for doing this show. You can catch Mark on Pulse 94.7 FM. Just Google it, put it in. Lots of fantastic shows. And yeah, me and Mark will be doing more shows on Rock Daydream Nation. Tell us what you think of Fireball. Favorite song, where it ranks in the discography of Deep Purple. We love reading your comments. Please like and subscribe. But one thing's for sure, Mark and I will be doing more shows very soon. All the best, and cheers.